Original Lord of the Rings cast address potential return to franchise. If Peter says jump, I say how high? Peter Jackson's time in Middle-earth has not yet come to an end, and the original cast of the Lord of the Rings movies have revealed whether they would be willing to return to the franchise. In May 2024, it was revealed that a spate of new spin-off movies were in the pipeline, with the upcoming The Hunt for Gollum set to be the franchise's first live-action movie since the Hobbit trilogy. While directorial duties on the franchise's new film have fallen to Andy Serkis, Jackson is set to produce alongside Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens. At this year's Awesome Con, Screen Rant's Joe Deckelmeyer hosted a panel with original Lord of the Rings cast members Liv Tyler, John Rhys Davies, Davies and Aston, and Orlando Bloom. Asked about whether they would be willing to return to the franchise for any of the future spin-off movies, the former co-stars had varying reactions to the possibility of reprising their characters. As the first to respond, Tyler admitted that she would do anything to be able to see it again. Check out her comments below. Liv Tyler, I just do anything. I write to Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens all the time. I'm like, hey, is there any chance we're going to need Arwen back? It was such a gift to our lives. It's so hard to sum it up in words, but it was such a profound gift. I would do anything to be able to see it again, feel it again, but we live it in our hearts and our minds now. Meanwhile, both Aston and Rhys Davies were more circumspect in their responses, with the latter suggesting that while he would return, he would rather not have to don Gimli's prosthetics again. Aston, however, was unsure how he could deliver a performance under the weight of the enormous expectations that would come with it. Check out their answers below. John Rhys Davies, I do anything as long as I don't have to put that full prosthetic on again. Davies and Aston, the idea of doing Sam again. When we did it the first time, I had no idea what the relationship of the literature was to that character. To me, it was all about what we were doing and trying to understand the ideas, just connecting on an emotional level. Now, after 25 years of having people come and talk about what it meant and how it helped in their life, how they got past a hard time and it brought their family together, and all of the millions of things that get said, I wonder what that would be like to try and go into a performance where you're supposed to be centered and present, and focused on what you're doing, with that kind of pressure. I don't know what that would be like. As for Bloom, he said that while it would be impossible to replicate the original magic of the moment, he would be keen to play Legolas again for a third time, after previously being asked to reprise him for the Hobbit trilogy. Check out his comments below. Orlando Bloom, I'd always think that if Pete says jump, I say, how high? It's funny because I think the elves go through so much of this world so many times because they're ageless. I was in The Hobbit, and it was really interesting revisiting the world. It was so different from Rings as an experience. It was a beautiful time, but this idea of kind of going back is like, absolutely, who wouldn't want to go back to that place? But of course, the magic of that moment is not something that could ever be repeated. The time, the age, the place that we were at, the place that the universe, the world, the planet was at, is impossible to recreate. But I think the idea of playing these characters, being in that headspace of Legolas, is awesome. My ADHD is gone. I am focused. And that's something that I would always embrace because it's this crazy, meditative state of being all-knowing and all-seeing, which is such a cool feeling. While fans of the original, the Lord of the Rings movies may be keen to see the various cast members return for future movies, the time that has passed since the first trilogy was released may severely limit how such appearances can occur. Already, The Hunt for Gollum is expected to see the return of both Gandalf and Aragorn, though it is still unclear whether Ian McKellen and Viggo Mortensen will be returning to play them. Though it has been suggested that Mortensen's return will ultimately be dependent on the quality of the script, Finding ways to manage the actor's age difference will likely also be a major factor in deciding whether it is necessary to recast the role. While many fans would be keen to see the original Lord of the Rings cast reprise their characters, digital de-aging technology is still not an entirely seamless process and is often best used sparingly. Yet, while the actors for Gimli and Gandalf could easily hide their own age differences behind flowing beards and latex noses, this approach would not be viable for Tyler and Bloom's elven characters.